take my Spurs hat off, put my coach's hat on, I would keep both Kulusevski and Oliver Skipp. Now, a lot of people disagree with Oliver Skipp staying at Spurs, and I get it. And when you see the mistake he made yesterday when he didn't release the ball, tried to dribble himself out of trouble and cost us the third goal, I get why people don't want Skipp. They don't think he's good enough. They think he's average. And they think, yeah, look, he's a championship player at best. That's why he did well at Norwich. But I disagree. I disagree with all those opinions. Kulusevski, for me, showed enough last season that there's a player there. And when the team was in full flow, he was a massive part of it. The team this year's been disjointed. The World Cup in the middle of the season, injuries. We haven't had a settled back four. We haven't had a settled midfield. Damn it. The only player that's been settled this season has been Kane. Take Kane out of the squad. Who else has been consistent in performance and in starting position? It's just been an awful season. So I think a lot of players in this team have been not victims, but they've lost any momentum or any consistency because of the disjointed nature of the season. So I put Kulu in that bracket. Kulu needs next season and calmness. With Oliver Skipp, with any young player, the three things you need: the right environment, patience, and you have got to be allowed to make mistakes. Now, if you can't do that, you will never know whether or not a player can excel. If you look at Tottenham this season, it's been a toxic environment. Patience has gone. And when a player makes a mistake, we hound on it so much that the player goes home and comes off social media. So the environment is dreadful for young players to flourish. However, what is good is he will learn from this. I want to take people back to when Arsenal were an absolute shit show under Arteta. Saka and Smith Rowe played in that team. Look at them now, especially Saka. He's going through the motions of the dark side. What he needs is the nice side now, the good side. And this isn't just for Skipp, it's for any young player at the club. So for me, I can see a player in Skipp. I can see it. And don't forget, Mourinho, he said, this is a future captain. This is a captain of the club. Mourinho gets these things right because he can see it. He's got 40-odd, 30-odd years of experience. He was right about Kim Min-jae, and he was right about Skriniar, and he was right about Ruben Diaz. Look at all of those players. Ruben Diaz is, 22, 23? Leader at Man City. So for me, I trust what Mourinho says on him. I trust what my eyes see. But the mistake he made against Brentford was criminal. But freaking hell, man. Harry Kane missed a penalty in the World Cup. Should we kill him for that? They're human. They're going to make mistakes. Yet Kane's come back from the World Cup. He's the second top goal scorer in one of the shittest teams in the league. That's what the man does. I'm not saying Skipp will be the next De Bruyne, the next Xavi Alonso, the next Xavi Iniesta, the next trying to think of top midfielders that have ever played in the Premier League, but Moussa Dembele. I'm not saying he'll be that, but we won't know what he will be unless he gets a real chance. Can't keep changing manager, right? No manager has been at Tottenham long enough to really get to know these players other than Redknapp and Poch. And guess what? They did the best because they had enough time to really get to know these players. Now, you might say to me, oh, but look at De Zerbi. Look at what De Zerbi is doing at Brighton. He hasn't had long. Yeah. But top six is the limit that Brighton are going to achieve. For them to go beyond that, they're going to have to invest big. Otherwise, you just can't compete with what's ahead of you. And Eddie Howe, he's had short time at Newcastle. But look what he's done. But if you look at Brighton and you look at Newcastle, the expectation hasn't been the same as Spurs. And when you look at those clubs, it's a different pressure that they've had. And the environment is much more healthier. I want to see Skipp, even Spence, who isn't one of our own, is a club signing. Doji, who we haven't seen playing a Spurs shirt. The likes of Dane Scarlett. I want to see any young player at Spurs in the right environment, under one manager for more than one season, and with patience. Now, if we do that, then you can judge Oliver Skipp. The hate on the Skipp for me is beyond a joke, and I think it's just a lack of knowledge of what a young player needs to develop. And that's how I see it. That's how I see it. Winks, when he first came into the scene, was a good player. We moved him out of position. We tried to turn him into a holding mid. He wasn't. It was a disaster. We ruined him. Don't do the same with Skipp. This is a good player. I don't know what he'll become. He might end up being another Winks. He might become something really exciting. But it's too early to go in on a guy that all the variables you need to develop a young player aren't in place at Tottenham. And this is why I said a couple of weeks ago, I don't want any young player playing in this squad right now because it will destroy them. And we saw it with Pape Sarr at Newcastle. He got all the fucking blame and came off after 20 minutes. What's he done wrong?